Bacha. It was a valley of tears. And then stood up one of the boys, 20, 21 years old, one of the adults, Aharon. I didn't know his last name, Aharon. He stood up and said the following. Even I didn't ask my friends, I take the permission to speak on behalf of all my friends to thank you. Not to thank you for your visit, we didn't ask. Not for the presents, we didn't ask. But we want to thank you for a gift you gave us 5 minutes ago, which is a great present. The ability to cry. The possibility to cry. It's a great present, and I will tell you why. When they slaughtered my father, I was 16, in my very eyes, I stopped crying. I didn't give the Nazis the satisfaction that a Jewish child is crying. When I received 25 times the mica, it's a stick made of rubber, on my back, I was bleeding, but I didn't cry. Starving and freezing. I didn't laugh for years, and I didn't cry for years. I will tell you the truth. I didn't express myself to my friends. We were liberated on April 11, almost 2 months ago. Those 2 months I don't sleep one night. I bother myself with the thought, who am I? Am I a human being? Maybe instead of a heart, I have a stone here in my chest. I am not a normal mensch anymore. If I cannot laugh, if I cannot even cry, who will marry me? Where shall I find a girl to build with her a home? I am not a human being. Aaron, a boy of 20, 21. 2 months that I ask myself, who am I? What am I? A mensch or a machine, a robot? How can I be a father? How can I play with children? I have no future. They have murdered my past, and now I am afraid I have no future also. 5 minutes ago, when we started to cry, it's a great present, because now I know I'm a mensch, I'm a human being, and I know the secret. Everyone understands it, that the one who can cry today has a chance to laugh tomorrow. We are normal. We are mentioned. Thank you for your visit, which brought us to these tears. And before I finish, not me, but Aaron said, before I finish, I must tell you something, and I want you to understand the lesson of the last words of Aaron. I had a grandfather in Warsaw, the capital city of Poland. Every summer vacation, I used to spend 2 months with my Zaidi, my grandfather. He was a scholar, and he knew the Bible by heart. When I came on July, August every year, including the last year before the war broke out, on July, August 39, I spent with my Zaidi 2 months in Warsaw. He used to close the store, free, early, he took me for a walk on the Wisla. Wisla is the huge river which is crossing Poland, the Wisla. We were walking on the Wisla, and he used to teach me Tanakh, Biblia. Some of the chapters he insisted on that I will learn by heart. And a day later, I had to tell him by heart what I learned yesterday. Mrs. Mintz, friends, 6 years I didn't open a book. 6 years I didn't see a Bible in my eyes. I forgot everything. Everything that the Zaidi taught me, I forgot. Except one chapter. That chapter kept me alive. That chapter of the Bible gave me the spirit to be stiff-necked, not to commit suicide, to be a mensch and to be a Jew. I will say it as it is original in Hebrew, and I will translate it in Polish, and Mrs. Mintz will translate to you in French. הייתה על יד השם ויניחני בתוך הבקעה, והיא מלאה עצמות. והנה רבות מאוד על פני הבקעה, והנה יבשות מאוד. ויאמר אלי בן אדם, התחיינה העצמות האלה, ואומר, השם אלוקים, אתה ידעת. The hand of the Lord Almighty was upon me, and I was walking in the valley. The valley was full with bones, very many bones, dry bones. And he asked me, human being, Ben Adam, do they have a chance to live, those bones? And I said, only you know the answer. Then came a wind, was blowing a wind, and all the bones came one to the other and became corpses. Will they live? Only you know. Another blow came, a spirit of life in these corpses, and they stood up on their feet. A great regiment, Chayil Gadol Me'od Me'od, an army. And the Almighty said to me, these dry bones are the symbol of the Jewish people. They say, we have no chance. We are dry bones. We are disconnected from life. I will give a spirit in you. I will make you alive. I will open your graves, my people. I will lift you up out of your graves, my people, and I will bring you to the land of Israel. Aaron looked at the guests, put his hand on his heart and said, we are the dry bones. The Lord Almighty opened our graves, lifted us up out of the graves, and we are on our way, few weeks, to be in the land of Israel. A boy, after 6 years war, lonely, Aaron, such a speech. And he was the representative, not only of the 220 orphanages in Ekwi at that time, he's the representative of the Jewish nation in such a speech. Aaron. I remember this speech 67 years, like it happened yesterday. 67 years. I was a child. I never knew what happened to that Aaron. What a great man must he be. 55 years later, 12 years ago, 11 years ago, there was the terror of the Intifada in Israel. I served that time as chief rabbi of the state. There was no one injured civilian or soldier in the Intifada whom I didn't visit in the hospital as chief rabbi. From Soroka in Beersheba in the south till Ha'emek in Afula in the north. Poria and Ziv and Yosef Talelat, there were no injured of Intifada. But from Soroka, from Beersheba to Afula, all the hospitals, mainly in Yerushalayim, Hadassah, Bous Hadassah, Shaare Tzedek and Bikor Choli, and many others, Tel HaShomer, Beilinson, Ichilov, Rambam. Sbarro happened in the heart of Yerushalayim, noontime, Yafo, corner King George. A suicide bomber came into a restaurant on August, summer vacation, killed 15 people, himself also, and a family of 5 people in one family, a father, a mother, and 3 children. Scheves Churder is the family. Who? The man came as an Oleh Hadash from the Netherlands, married a girl from Netanya, Tzira Friedman. I officiated their wedding in Tel Aviv. When everyone has some of the family with him in that emergency room. So the professor didn't tell me all the truth. In the ears of mothers, of sometimes a grandmother, he told me more or less. When I finished inside, made Misha Berach to each of them, Refuah Shelema, Kelna Refanala, etc. We went to the corridor. There were already 4 professors with me, Durst and Shapira, Slavin, and Gottesman. And we closed the corridor. There were 5 people. 4 in green uniform, and me with my black uniform, like now. Then I hear from my back someone saying in Hebrew, of course, Slicha, excuse me, Efshar Lavor, can I cross the corridor? So we asked Slicha, and we went to both sides of the walls to enable him to cross. Crossing between us, he looked back, looked at me, Harav Lau? I said, Ken, Shalom, Ani Aaron, I am Aaron. He said, Eze Aaron? Aaron of Ekui, he said. Do you remember me? Because I follow you on the television and the radio all those years. Do you remember me? I was shocked. 55 years, I didn't hear from him. He said, Aaron shel ha'atzamot hayaveshot, of the dry bones. He started to cry. He said, Ken. And he went. He was ashamed to cry. He knew all the professors, they all knew him. The professors were in a surprise. How do you know Aaron Landsberg? First time I have heard the name. How do you know Aaron Landsberg? And what means Ekui? And why dry bones? Everyone asked another question. How do you know him? What is Ekui? Why dry bones? I told them the whole story. No one eye was dry after telling the story. He was working in the office of Hadassah in Yerushalayim, even before they moved to Ein Karem. He was the head accountant, Ro'eh Cheshbon. And all the budget of the hospital, the salaries, the medicaments, the buildings, everything on the shoulders of this Aaron. I told them the story, his speech. They were surprised. Shy, modest and humble. He never spoke, he never told them his background. Dear friends, Morai v'Rabotai, this story, I bring it in my book. For me, as I said before, this is the living example of the bridge from Holocaust to survival, from destruction to redemption. Because we are now in Eretz Israel, in the state of Israel, not neglected as we were, not weak as we were, not unprepared as we were. I hope, we shall hope, we pray that any disaster will never happen, any crisis to one of us. But to be prepared, we must. If we see around us what happens, Egypt is not quiet. Syria is in a storm wind, not of 2 days, not 2 days of a storm wind, not a Sandy. 100 innocent people are being killed every day in Syria, in our border, and killed by their own people. And the world again doing nothing. Did you hear one government who have invited the Syrian ambassador to tell him, go home until your president Bashir Assad will behave as a human being and stop slaughtering children? One country did it. One government did it. There was a great philosopher who said, all what we learn out from the history is that we didn't learn of it anything. With Ahmadinejad in Iran, and Bashir Assad in Syria, and Hassan Nasrallah in Hezbollah in Lebanon, and our good friends in Gaza, the Hamas, means that we didn't learn anything. They speak about a liquidation of a nation. We will never permit it. And as it was said, Am Yisrael Chai V'Kayam, we had a promise, Ki lo yitosh Hashem amo v'nachalato lo ya'azov. The master of the universe will not let it again. But we must do our efforts to be prepared to threaten them in order that they will not dare to make a step against the Jewish people. This Mechina in Katzerin, in Ramat HaGolan, in the Golan Heights, this is a way how to promise on one hand Jewish education, Jewish Torah learning, to be scholars, to know our heritage, to be proud on our concept of life, Jewish life, and on the other hand, to be ready in the most difficult and brave units of the IDF, Tzva Haganah Israel, to be of the best if we will be in need to show that we have to defend our land, our people, our families. So to assist the Mechina, I was ready to come to speak, and I hope that we will have good results from the effort they make day and night. For us, there are some lessons from what I told you, Holocaust, many lessons. Of course, to know and to remember. I say it in the beautiful shul, the synagogue of Orei Mashhad here in Great Neck. The Nazis didn't declare a war only against the Jews. They declared a war against Judaism as well. They didn't say just, Lechu v'nachidem migoy, let's liquidate them of being a nation. They said in the same time, Velo yizacher shem Yisrael od. The name Yisrael will not be mentioned in future. The first thing they did was today, 74 years ago, the night of Kristall, when they burned and destroyed 1,000 synagogues in Germany. In the 9th and the 10th of November, exactly today, 1938, 74 years ago. The first step they took not against physical bodies, not against stores, not against the Jewish banks, Jewish offices, and there were many in Germany, the Rothschilds. The first step was against the synagogues, because they knew what some of us sometimes forget, that the heart of the Jewish nation is the synagogue. They understood it. If you want to damage the Jew, to break him, you have to start with the Torah scrolls, with the synagogues. They understood it. So please, make your communities stronger and deep the Jewish education, wider and deeper as it possible. This is our victory. This is the only revenge we have to do. Give a shoulder to Israel. Give a shoulder to Jewish education in Israel. Shows that we are brothers, to promise that we are an eternal and immortal nation in the way of Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you very much. Please remain seated some few minutes, more few